Press conference by the Executive Committee, Nigerian Union of Pensioners, Abia State Council, on the purported clearance of arrears of pension and gratuity of Abia pensioners by the state government. The true position. Chairman, Nigerian Union of Journalists, Abia State Council, gentlemen of the press. I welcome you all to this press briefing today, Thursday, 24th October 2024, organized by the Executive Committee, Nigerian Union of Pensioners, Abia State Council. The issue of clearance of waiving of outstanding pensions and gratuity of Abia pensioners by the Abia State government has been in the public domain for some months now. A lot has been said, but the union, NUP executive, a union of matured men and women, has been silent, expecting good judgment and understanding to prevail. We are now constrained, going by the turn of events, to open up and state the true position on all that transpired. Meetings between the Executive Governor of Abia State, His Excellency Dr. Alex Otti, OFR, and the Executive Committee ESCO of the Nigerian Union of Pensioners, NUP, Abia State Council. The first meeting of the NUP ESCO Abia State Council with His Excellency the Executive Governor of Abia State was on Wednesday, 9th August 2023 at his country home, Mvosi Isialakwa South, LGA, shortly after his swearing in. It was a courtesy visit to introduce the authentic leadership of the NUP in Abia State to His Excellency. I know why I use that word, authentic leadership. The Executive Governor, during the interaction that followed, seized the opportunity to reiterate his electioneering campaign promise about clearing all outstanding arrears of pensions owed to Abia retirees, amongst others. He emphasized that the arrears would be cleared on or before the end of December 2023. Our second meeting with His Excellency Dr. Alex Otti, OFR, the Executive Governor of Abia State, was on Sunday, 31st December 2023, at his instance, at his country home for Isialakwa South, LGA. This meeting held after the verification of pensioners exercise instituted by the government. His Excellency used the opportunity of the meeting to inform the new ESCO of the inability of government to keep the December 31st, 2023 deadline he had set for the liquidation of arrears of pensions owed in the state. He informed the new ESCO that contrary to his expectations, the verification exercise revealed that the amount that would be required to clear pension arrears tripled. He had projected 10 billion, but would now require 30 billion instead. Based on the above fact, and in line with his desire to clear the pension arrears as promised, the Executive Governor proposed he would raise a loan of 7 billion to add to the already set aside 10 billion, amounting to 17 billion. With the 17 billion, he proposed the following template for the payment. Below 1 million naira he would pay 100% to the recipient. 1 million naira to 2 million, he would pay 80%. 2 million to 3 million, he would pay 70%. 3 million to 5 million, he will pay 50%. 5 million and above, he will pay 40%. He set a new date of first quarter 2024 for the clearance of the pension arrears. The ESCO thanked the governor for the kind gesture and requested him to allow her consult with her pensioners. On the 11th January 2024, an enlarged NUP State Council meeting held to deliberate on the State Executive Governor's proposals. It was a one-agenda meeting to consider the payment template proposed by His Excellency to clear the outstanding pension arrears in Abia State. During the deliberations, Council observed the earnest desire displayed by the Governor to alleviate the sufferings of Abia pensioners, a rare gesture. It was then agreed to demand the Governor to beef up the template he has proposed as follows. Below 1 million, give us 100%. 1 million to 2 million, beef it up to 90%. 2 million to 3 million, pay 2 million to 3 million, pay 80%. 3 million to 5 million, 70%. 5 million and above, 60%. Our third meeting with His Excellency was on January 19, 2024. It was an opportunity to relay the NUP Council's decision to the Executive Governor, which included to restore full 100% monthly pension payment to Abia pensioners, and to release union stake of dues alongside pension payment every month. It will be recalled that the government continued with payment of 50% of pensioners' take-home package, which he made on assumption of office. Before on the payment template proposed by the governor as stated above. In his response, His Excellency Dr. Alex Otti, OFR, appreciated the union, but remarked that going by the NUP Council's decision that the 17 billion he had proposed would not be enough to pay the pension arrears. Based on above, the governor set up a committee for further discussions. At first, the committee set up was an enlarged one. It entertained all unions and establishments in the state that will hold one arrears or the other. The first two sittings of the committee were anchored by the Secretary to the State Government, SSG, Professor Kenneth Kalu, in the SSG's conference room. The following were present: the Secretary to the State Government, SSG, Professor Kenneth Kalu, the then Commissioner for Finance, Mazi, Akpara, The SSA to the Governor, Special Duties, Dr. Mrs. Betty Emeka Obasi. The SSA to the Governor of Finance, Dr. Anthony Obali. NUP State ESCO. BCA Pensioners Representatives. Absolute Retirees Representatives. Abia Polytechnics Retirees Representatives, etc. Eventually, the committee was pinned down to be meeting with NUP ESCO only. This time around, discussions were chaired by the former Commissioner for Finance, SSA Finance, and the NUP ESCO, represented by the State Chairman and the Secretary. In all the meetings held, there were no real negotiations nor specific agreements reached. Rather, the government team, especially through Mazi Akpara and Dr. Mrs. Betty Emeka Obasi, will always, on every sitting, continue to reel out the indebtedness of government incurred by the past administrations in the state, impressing on us to see why the government cannot pay the huge arrears involved in pension payment, which they describe as humongous. Government, according to them, has many other demands apart from pensions to attend to. The NUP ESCO stood all through on the promise made by the executive governor during his electioneering campaign, which he continued to resonate at every forum, even after his inauguration. The NUP ESCO stood all through on the promise made by the executive governor during his electioneering campaign, which he continued to resonate at every forum, even after his inauguration. That is, to pay off all arrears owed not only to pensioners, but to all Abia workers by the previous administration. In our last discussions with the government team, the then State Commissioner for Finance, Mazi Akpara, told the meeting that the 7 billion government had planned to borrow has been stalled by the death of Mr. Herbert Wigwe, the then Chief Executive Officer of Access Bank Limited. Based on this pathetic information, and to reciprocate the love the executive governor had shown by promising clearance of arrears owed in the state, and again realizing that the much vaunted third quarter of the new year 2024 deadline given by government to pay the pension arrears was fast approaching. NUP ESCO proposed as follows: government to come out clear and inform Abians of the difficulties it is facing in keeping the promise of the governor, or otherwise B, pay full pension 100% from the time May 29, 2023, the administration came on board, so that our dear governor would not be counted amongst the debtor governors of the state. C, use the 10 billion already earmarked to commence payment of arrears or pensions the government made on assumption of office. There was never a time gratuity was mentioned, let alone discussed. Execution of Memorandum of Agreement between Abia State government and the NUP ESCO. On Monday, 25th March 2024, at about 11 a.m., the SSA to the Governor on Special Duties, Dr. Mrs. Betty Emeka Obasi, called the NUP State Secretary Elder Umuahia Kalu and requested for a meeting of the NUP ESCO with the government team on pension arrears liquidation by 5 p.m. The NUP State Secretary rejected the invitation based on shortness of time and for the fact that many of the NUP ESCO members live outside Umuahia. She later called again and fixed the meeting for 1 p.m. same day, adding that the governor would want the arrears issue to be settled forthwith. She was informed that NUP ESCO could not meet up with the time. She insisted that those around should attend, adding that the meeting was important and was to inform the state NUP ESCO the decision of His Excellency on the payment of the arrears of pensions, which proposed deadline was at hand. The information was never for the execution of a memorandum of agreement. Eventually, only 4 out of a 9-member NUP State ESCO were available for the meeting. They arrived and were kept in the office of the State Commissioner for Finance from 1 p.m. to after 8 p.m. without any discussions. The government team, led by Mazi Akpara, kept moving up and down, discussing in low tones without reference to the Union ESCO present. Surprisingly, that night, many SSA to the state governor who had not attended the committee meeting for the first time, including the State Accountant General, Dr. Mrs. Njum Onyemenam, the State Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, Ikechukwu Uwana, surfaced. The scenario became a little apprehensive. It is also important to note that during the long and tortuous waiting, Dr. Mrs. Betty Emeka Obasi, probably acting out her part of the written script, freakishly asked for and collected a NUP letter-headed paper from the unsuspecting state NUP secretary. At a point, just before we began to agitate, Mazi Akpara and Dr. Mrs. Betty Emeka Obasi came out from the Finance Commissioner's inner office with a document and asked us to endorse for them. Dr. Mrs. Emeka Obasi said it was nothing but the message from the executive governor, as earlier informed us. A quick glance at the document revealed it was prepared with the letter-headed paper Dr. Mrs. Obasi earlier collected from the NUP State Secretary. We told them we could neither read nor digest anything then, for it was already late and we were all tired. And again, we would have come prepared, at least with the union's legal advisor, if the meeting was said to be for the execution of an agreement. They insisted, adding that the executive governor was still sitting up, waiting for the outcome of the meeting. Without suspecting any foul plays or evil intentions on the part of government, we innocently endorsed them on trust thinking we were still on the same page with our dear governor. When we arrived office the following morning, Tuesday, 26/3/2024, asked the State Assistant Secretary, Mr. I.C. Obasi, to read out the MOA. We discovered, to our utter disbelief and consternation, that we have been cheated. We never read that document that time, that night, at any time. It was the next day, being 26, in our office, as I've read. The State NUP chairman, Elder C.N.E. Ronde, immediately put a phone call through to the former Commissioner for Finance, Mazi Akpara, expressing his dismay on such level of dishonesty extended to the NUP, Abia State. How could he have lied in the document MOA by stating that Abia pensioners in their state council meeting held on 11th January 2024 decided to waive their outstanding entitlements, including pensions and gratuity, and coerced the representatives of the state NUP to endorse such falsehood? He, Michael Akpara, responded by asking the chairman how he expected the government to pay such a humongous amount, quote unquote. In her own response to the phone call from the state NUP state secretary the same moment, Dr. Mrs. Betty Emeka Obasi, especially when the state secretary told her that the union would respond immediately through the electronic and print media if the government dare publish that MOA, especially when it lied against NUP. Mrs. Obasi said that they were not going to publish the MOA. The above phone calls were immediately followed on 4th April 2024 with a comprehensive letter from the Union NUP to His Excellency Dr. Alex Otti, OFR, the Executive Governor of Abia State. The letter contained our observations on the executed MOA, the copy of the 11th January 2024 NUP Council meeting minutes that was carefully, wrongly quoted to suit the whims and caprices of Mr. Michael Akpara, Dr. Mrs. Betty Emeka Obasi, and perhaps the Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, Umuahia, who prepared the MOA. He prepared it. We also, in the said letter, requested the Executive Governor to direct a revisit to the MOA with a view to expunging the clause waive off outstanding gratuity, leveraging on Article 7A and B of the MOA. Article 7A. Any disputes arising from this agreement shall be resolved first by mutual negotiation between the parties. 7B. Disputes arising from this agreement that cannot be resolved amicably shall be referred to arbitration under Arbitration and Conciliation Act 2023. His Excellency Dr. Alex Otti, OFR, the Executive Governor of Abia State, directed the Attorney General, so Commissioner for Finance, to reply to our letter. Unfortunately, the Attorney General's response, dated 9th April 2024, fared very much short of the expectations of the Union. The language used in his letter could be simply summarized as bullying, intimidating, false allegations, and threatening. The Union immediately replied to the letter from the Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice on 23rd April 2024, stating the facts as they were. Since then, government took no further actions, including carrying out the threat on stopping payment of pensions to Abia pensioners. However, the check-off dues arising from the arrears which government checked off has not been paid to the new Abia State Council till now. Further actions. Due to the high regard the Union has for His Excellency, Dr. Alex Otti, OFR, the Executive Governor of Abia State, and the determination of the new ESCO not to in any way be party to tarnishing the image of government and the reputation of our dear governor, who had shown us NUP love. We refused to relent in finding amicable solutions to the gratuity issue. The NUP ESCO embarked on wider consultations, employing all available emissaries to reach and discuss one-on-one with His Excellency, but to no avail. One outstanding personality we met, who we believed from recommendations will take us to the Executive Governor, is one Mazi Okorafo, the SSA to the Governor on Monitoring and Evaluation. To our amazement, during the discussions with him, told us to forget the MOA issue, that it has been settled. Yeah. He was emphatic that government would not revisit the issue because it was a planned deal to use the NUP as a sacrificial lamb to launch the government into the wider world. According to him, government could leverage on the MOA NUP executed with her indicating clearance of arrears owed in Abia State to borrow money for projects, even from outside Nigeria. I remember the slogan he used, "Woken may be by magic." He rather advised us to bring whoever that is agitating for discussions and settlement. The Union now stands to believe the above assertion because His Excellency Dr. Alex Otti, OFR, the Executive Governor of Abia State, has in some visits to him of prominent personalities, for instance, Pastor Kumuyi of Deeper Life Bible Church, emphasized the issue of clearing 9/10 years pension arrears and gratuities owed by previous administration in Abia State as against the 45 months pension were not paid at all as declared by the NUP. 45 months as against 9 years or 10 years. Again, in one of the media chats to the press in Abia State, the Executive Governor declared emphatically that agreement is agreement, quote unquote, negating the provision in the said MOA Article 7A and B already cited. Furthermore, on July 10, 2024, we sent a letter captioned "A Passionate Appeal for Audience. Re Abia State Pensioners Outstanding Gratuity Issue," requesting to discuss with the Executive Governor We waited for 2 months without any response. On the 17th September 2024, the Union sent yet another appeal letter to the Governor captioned "A Passionate Appeal for Audience. Re Abia Pensioners Outstanding Pension and Gratuity, a Reminder." The letter requesting audience with the Executive Governor was sent through 4 different channels: Courier Services, through the Office of the Chief of Staff, CS, to the Governor, and through the Secretary to the Abia State Government, SSG, to ensure that the letter reached the Executive Governor. No response yet. The State NUP ESCO has prepared and sent a comprehensive report of this, on this issue of waiving outstanding entitlements of Abia pensioners, including pensions and gratuity, by the Abia State Government to the Nigerian Labour Congress, NLC, Abia State Council. The National Office of the NUP, Abuja, was also quickly intimated on the same issue via a report number NUP ABS AD 53113 dated 25th May 2024. The National Office of the Union, NUP, has since written directly to His Excellency Dr. Alex Otti, OFR, dated 4th September 2024, appealing to the Abia State Government to re-examine the earlier arrears of pensions paid to the retirees in percentage and pay the remaining balance of the 45 months wiped out and order the payment of the foregone gratuity. Food for thought. Since the inception of the present administration on May 29, 2023, pensions have never been paid earlier than the first week of the succeeding month. But that of March 2024 was paid on 27/3/2024 after the meeting of 25/3/2024, a refutal on 26/3/2024 notwithstanding. Government started payment of outstanding arrears of pensions on 28/3/2024. One could ask the reason for the rush. Again, was it a deliberate plan to rope in the leadership of the Nigerian Union of Pensioners into whatsoever that Dr. Mrs. Betty Emeka Obasi freakishly obtained the NUP letter-headed paper from the NUP State Secretary and used it to prepare the MOE? C. An agreement depicts mutual acceptance in good faith on issues between two persons or parties. The MOE in question was secretly prepared by the government without any input from the NUP ESCO. They made a provision in the document for resolution should a disagreement arise. How can the MOE be binding on the NUP when government refuses to consider items 7A and B as contained in the document? Another issue of worry and suspicion arose when the State Executive Governor, His Excellency Dr. Alex Otti, OFR, who instead of acting as the father he is by inviting the NUP ESCO for discussions on their complaints with the MOE, directed the State Attorney General, Commissioner for Justice, to query, threaten, and intimidate the Nigerian Union of Pensioners, NUP. Do you know that the key officers of the State Ministry of Finance, MOF, including the Accountant General, and even the newly appointed Honorable Commissioner for Finance, have been avoiding meetings and discussions with the NUP officials? They have instead been hobnobbing with a group of pensioners in the state who they know very well are dissidents. Conclusion. While we, the Executive Committee of the Nigerian Union of Pensioners, NUP Abia State Council acknowledge and appreciate the outstanding performances of the Abia State Governor, His Excellency Dr. Alex Otti, so far in several areas of Abia State economy, including the regular payment of monthly pensions. We make bold to state that the so-called and much talked about Memorandum of Agreement with the NUP was a unilateral decision of the government based on the unfortunate, selfish advice of his aides, led by Mr. Michael Akpara, former Commissioner for Finance, and Dr. Mrs. Betty Emeka Obasi, SSA, on special duties. We never discussed gratuities at any point, let alone talking about waiving of any entitlements of pensioners, including gratuities. Nobody has the authority of imposing the waiving of gratuities on Abia pensioners for any reason. All pensioners of Abia State and India in general should note and hear clearly that the Alex Otti-led administration did not clear any kobo of 45 months unpaid pension arrears of the previous administration as presented by the Abia State Council on the Abia State Council of the Nigerian Union of Pensioners. The present administration only cleared the arrears of 10 months, June 2023 to March 2024, which it incurred. Of course, some pensioners have not received the arrears till date. The so-called ex gratia paid by the governor is neither here nor there, since it was not discussed with the union. The governor's claim to have cleared 10 years of pension arrears has no basis in the union's NUP records. The Nigerian Union of Pensioners and NUP Abia State Council insists on a serious review of the so-called Memorandum of Agreement on the strength of Article 7A and B of the so-called Memorandum of Agreement as written by agents of the state government. If the governor, His Excellency Dr. Alex Otti has decided to renege on his campaign promises of clearing all arrears of pensions he made on assumption of office, he should declare it to Abians and leave arrears to his successors as government is a continuum. It will be a great disservice and hypocrisy using the NUP as a scapegoat and the Abia pensioners as sacrificial lamb to attract national and international grants for selfish reasons. Long live Federal Republic of Nigeria. Long live Abia State, God's own state.
Long live.
Long live Nigerian Union of Pensioners.
Long live.
Thank you, gentlemen of the press. God bless you.
I say the Memorandum of Agreement between the Abia State Government and the Nigerian Union of Pensioners at the State Council responds to the misrepresentation of facts. His Excellency Dr. Alex Otti is in receipt of your letter dated 4th of April and has directed that I respond as follows. Background. Over the past months, there have been concerted efforts to resolve the outstanding pension and gratuities due to civil servants in Abia State accumulated for over a decade under previous administrations. His Excellency Dr. Alex Otti set up a committee that has met consistently with the leadership of the Nigerian Union of Pensioners, Abia State Chapter. After its meeting on the 11th of January 2024, the leadership of NUP represented to the Abia State government that it has resolved to forego the payment of arrears of pensions and gratuities totaling about 60 billion naira, on the basis that it will be too difficult to realize in view of the current harsh economic realities. On the basis of the said representation and in a bid to reciprocate the good gesture by the NUP, the government resolved to make an ex gratia payment as full and final payment of all pensions and gratuities due to the pensioners. The government further committed to pay the pensioners their full pension monthly thereafter. Sir, you will recall that on the 25th of March, your colleagues and yourself reviewed a draft memorandum of agreement, made corrections thereto, including but not limited to correcting the name of your union, which was written on as National Union of Pensioners instead of Nigerian Union of Pensioners, and even provided your NUP letterhead for the printing of the MOA. The MOA was then executed by both parties and all pages initialed. At the end of the event, the parties read and took photographs, happy that at long last there was an end to the entire process. On conclusion, a copy of the signed agreement was transmitted to His Excellency, who immediately instructed that the ex gratia payment should be made not later than 28th March 2024, ensuring that pensioners will enter the Easter celebrations with added joy. So in response to your specific allegation, misrepresentation of the resolution of NUP General Meeting, the leadership of the Nigerian Union of Pensioners had in the various meetings with the committee represented that its members had foregone the outstanding pensions and gratuities, and also same was contained in the minutes of his meeting of the 11th of January 2024. When the members of the committee requested for a copy of the minutes, your Secretary Emeka Kalu, in your presence, said he was in the process of reproducing the minutes of meeting as his computer recently crashed. In any case, and as you rightly observed, the representation formed part of the recital of the agreement. The Nigeria cause in Ashaka Cements PLC versus Asharatu M Investment Limited 2016, 40 and so on, and many other decisions have held. Quote, it is settled that where a recital contains a statement of the existence of facts, it constitutes an estoppel, and a party or parties who made the statement in the recital are not allowed to deny subsequently the existence of that fact. Your representation and that of your executive committee members was recapped in the course of our meeting on 25th of March 2024 and clearly captured in the MOA, and it is on this basis that the government has made the ex gratia payment running into billions of naira, including the deductions of NUP, of union dues, deduction of union dues, that's check-off dues, remitted to you and your members. Consequently, you and your members are extirpated from denying some. Payment schedule. You have also alleged that neither your proposed payment schedule nor the schedule by His Excellency was used. The payment was an ex gratia discretionary payment made in accordance with the schedule attached to the MOA. You will also recall and agree that His Excellency only exercised a discretion after you and members of the ESCO had communicated your decision to waive all the outstanding arrears of salaries and gratuities due to your members. So call on government to reflect the payment as allegedly resolved by NUP in its meeting of 11 January. This call, as contained in paragraph 6 of the letter, is not only fraudulent but vexatious and in bad faith. It will be recalled that the first target for the payment of the outstanding pension and gratuities was 31st of December 2023. This was not possible due to the long-drawn negotiations with NUP. The government never considered to pay any compensation, and particularly the one proposed by NUP. It is mischievous that it is only after the government has made an ex-gratia payment to you and your members that the leadership of NUP turned around to make demands for additional payments. This is not only unfair but unconscionable. In the light of the above, you are hereby required, please listen carefully, in light of the above, you are hereby required within 72 hours of your receipt of this letter to respond to this letter reaffirming the content of the MOA as being the true reflection of the terms agreed. In the event that you fail, neglect, or refuse to adhere to the above, the government shall be compelled to suspend the payment of the monthly pension to you and your members, pending the outcome of a subsequent appeal to the appropriate forum to enforce their obligations under the said MOA. This may include any or all the following actions: refund the sum of monies paid to you, members of your executive committee, and all the pensioners as ex gratia payments in line with your undertaking in Clause 5 of the MOA. 2. Refund the check-off dues paid to the NUP. 3. Pay the sum of 1 billion naira to the government for misrepresentation of facts and losses occasioned by SEM. This was signed by Ikechukwu Wanna, Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice. I think what my chairman wanted us to see here is the threat, the intimidation and all that. If the chairman permits, he also read in the paper you are holding that the union replied to this letter, subsequently. And after that, the whole thing died down. The reply, I can quickly give to you, sent to the Honorable Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, Abia State. We captioned it, Memorandum of Agreement between Abia State government and the Nigerian Union of Pensioners, just like he did. We took the reply step by step as he enunciated there. Number 1, the union acknowledges receipt of your letter dated 19th April. That was the letter I just read, 2024, and the matching order calling for response within 72 hours upon receipt of the letter. 2, your letter, the union understands, is in response to an earlier letter written by the union to the Governor, His Excellency Dr. Alex Otti, OFL, dated 4th of April, captioned as in above, and wishes to respond in the manner following. Your letter came under several subheads which the union intends to deal with in that order. Response to misrepresentation of facts. The union does not see need to respond to this subhead, that is misrepresentation of facts. We didn't see any need because all we stated was right. Background. The union states that the statement made in paragraph 1 under the subhead is correct, just as I have read. 2, with emphasis, the statement made in paragraph 2 under this subhead is not correct. It is worthy at this point to draw the distinction between arrears of pensions and gratuities, as these must be seen in the light of their distinction. For clarity, the most that featured as addendum at all meetings of the committee and that of the union on the 11th day of January 2024 was arrears of pensions. It was the pensions which was in arrears of 45 months that the union discussed, agreed and accepted the scheme of percentage payment proposed by government, although not without inputs, suggestions, and feet dragging. Severance gratuity is consolidated money sum to which a retiree is entitled once and for all. The union nor the committee, in fairness to the retirees and the government, does not have the capacity to waive a retiree's gratuity, no matter how long it endures. To this extent, upon the demise of a retiree, his or her monthly pension terminates, but the already calculated gratuity succeeds and may be paid any day to the survivors of the deceased retiree. The issue here, all things being equal, is the allegation that the leadership of the NUP represented to the government that it resolved on the 11th of January 2024 at a meeting of NUP to waive and forego the payment of arrears of pensions, including that of gratuity. Paragraph 3 is the hallmark of the disagreement. Much as Abia pensioners are happy and grateful to His Excellency, the Governor of Abia State, for the payment of arrears of their pensions, so much are they reiterating that what they received was a percentage pay of their 45 months pension arrears and not gratuities. Abia pensioners are ready to forego and have forgotten giving percentages of the arrears of the monthly pensions while holding constant that all their consolidated gratuities will be paid someday. There is no gainsaying the facts contained in paragraph 4, and under this subhead, safe to say that gratuities were not realized to be part of what was couched, have been waived and forgone. So, responses to your specific allegations, the NUP insists that no such representation as to forego gratuity was made at any point or quarters, as quoted in paragraph 1, 2, under the subhead. Payment schedule. There is no gainsaying the facts of this subhead, save that the union did not represent to have waived the rights and payment of gratuities to retirees. Call on government to reflect the payment as allegedly resolved by NUP in its meeting of 11 January. Then we said, this is surprising because what he wrote there has nothing to do with what we wrote. So this is surprising, malicious, and only intended to paint NUP in bad light to His Excellency. Paragraph 6 of our letter in reference reads thus, quote, the NUP anchors on paragraph 7A of the Memorandum of Agreement and the sincere intents of His Excellency, Dr. Alex Otti on payment of pensions and gratuities in calling for immediate correction of paragraph 6C of the recitals to reflect the true version of the NUP resolution of 11 January 2024. This call is to get it corrected that gratuities were not waived, all things being equal, that the Memorandum of Agreement only affected the arrears of pension, which stood at 45 months and no more. When we concluded, we said, given the above clarification, the NUP does not intend to join issues with you on the threats and claim which may follow consequent upon NUP refusing to reaffirm that gratuities have been waived. The NUP insists that it does not have the capacity to waive or forego gratuities of retirees, as it is consolidated and does not fall in arrears. Therefore, the Memorandum of Agreement in issue is valid, correct, and acceptable to the extent that it waived arrears of pensions in that percentage, agreed, and did not affect gratuity. That was the reply we gave to the letter. That was where the chairman read that after this reply, the government stopped everything. They continue to pay our pension till date. But the check-off, that is the check-off dues they checked out of that arrears they paid, is still with them. But they claimed in the letter I read that it was paid to us. It has never been paid to the union. Thank you very much.
For your question, Mr. Mann, you can evaluate the ages of the people you call pensioners now. Don't look at those of us here. There are some of our people, when you see them, you will cry. You finish what is in your pocket as money. Many are carried in wheelbarrows. Wheelbarrow. As you go there now, there are people who cannot even get up. These are people we call pensioners. Well, what somebody is expected to have and he does not get it, it's not acceptable. Our arrears have not been paid. We have told you emphatically where we started and where we have stopped. We have nothing to bandage at all. After all, we have no personal conflict with our dear government. We only talk in the interest of the downtrodden. We are not satisfied with payment so far. We have been talking of 45 months arrears of pensions. Abolition with everybody. We have not added nor subtracted anything. And that has not been cleared. I understand you, my lady. We have never at any time mentioned anything away from 45 months. Anybody who is mentioning 10 years, 11 years or thereabout is not talking for us. We have never mentioned that anywhere. We have never demanded that from anywhere. For somebody to say he has cleared 10 years, 11 years, arrears, that is not in our record. What is in our record is 45 months. What will I not feel when my people are still crying? When what is owed them has not reached them? What more? I'm facing the leadership of the Nigerian Pensioners is first. In fact, what I told Akpara on the day in question when I called him, said, "Are you so wicked to force me to sign my death warrant? Don't you know that this is a death warrant which I have signed without going to it, without being informed? We thought we were still on the same page with our government, not knowing that you have gone in your own ways and caprices to rope us into trouble. Nobody will be satisfied without getting his gratuity or his late father's gratuity. It should be paid us and must be paid us. If this government is unable to pay us, government is a continuum. There is a government that God will send to rescue pensioners. In fact, when Dr. Alex Otti came, we captioned him to be on a rescue mission. That was what we were calling him, a Messiah come to judgment. But along the line, his aides, particularly Mr. Mazi, Akpara, and his group, deceived the governor without telling him the truth. That's what I have to tell you. I'm not satisfied and nobody's happy.
But listen carefully. An agreement, like we stated there, is what you have mutually, in fairness. You don't pick one item and leave the other. Okay? We said that MOA was prepared secretly by the government. We made no input. It is there in that write-up. We made no input. And we were not allowed, that we're not given time to read it. We have stayed for 7 hours plus, very tired. We said, we cannot read nor digest anything. We are tired. And we're told that the governor was still sitting up, waiting to get the outcome of the meeting. They insisted, okay? And because all along, I must be frank, the governor has shown us love. Because for years, we were not being paid. This is somebody who has come and been paying us. And we had no reason to doubt that he will turn overnight. That's why somewhere along that line, you see that we say Betty Obasi was acting out her own part of the script, which means this was planned, maybe ab initio, before ever anything started, that pensioners will be used as a scapegoat. So, and when they made that provision, that if there is a misunderstanding or a disagreement, that it has to be looked into, why must it be skipped and you call that thing an agreement? We were not able to read that thing that night, but because they insisted, governor was still waiting. Are we going to, disrupt what has gone on, so to say, smoothly? We said, okay, we endorsed. Then saw it the following morning, said, no. This thing is, we never, even in the minutes, now nobody ever talked about waiving anything, and we presented it. Then you want to accept that we signed, but you wouldn't want us to look at the disagreement. What makes that an agreement? To me, it is not an agreement, because an agreement should be whole and not you take a part and drop the one that does not suit you. So I think I've answered your question.
You are very right in your question. It is laughable. Look at my age. Look at us. That will invite me to your house. You keep me in your house from 1 o'clock to 8 o'clock in the night. I should be reading something in. Man should be feared. That night, my brother, listen. A living dog is stronger than a dead lion. What was planned for the night, one wouldn't know. Since you did not read it to me, you did not allow me to read it. You could not allow, since from 1 o'clock to this hour, you had evil plans, very evil plans. I didn't want to abandon my people to read, because I read the handwriting on the wall that there was danger. If we didn't sign that document that night, even though we did not read it, what could have become our fate on the roads at that night? Let me tell you, that night, one of the Governor of Finance didn't know how to go because it was night and there was no means. I took him in a crunchy Union's vehicle, intended to drop him at Isialangwa, where he would probably get means of going to Aba. Getting to the army point, there was no way. That place was that. Getting to the standpoint of Isialangwa Road Junction, where we normally pick, the type of people I saw there were not the type of people I would drop such a gentleman for. So that I had to continue my journey from there to Umuahia Junction at the base of the Navy, so that he would meet some people who may be returning from Lagos or thereabout. It was so dead in the night. Immediately we got there, I saw a vehicle coming from Lagos and picked him. I thanked my God. I sent this document to run away from their life, even though I didn't know what was in it. But for somebody to have kept me this late hour to give me document, there was something behind it. It was only the next day that we asked the Assistant Secretary, read that document we brought last time, because we never saw anything about it. It was then that the obvious came through. And according to your first question, which my secretary has answered you, how we have kept so long, we have kept very beautiful rapport with our dear governor. In fact, some of the times we visited him on issues, three good times. When you come in there, you wouldn't know who is governor. I doubted, is this our governor, even though I knew him before? To condescend so low, he would not say, go and serve them. 3 times we went there, we stayed and overstayed, he fed us. He wouldn't say, go and feed them. We shall be in line. To my surprise, if there's any woman there, he himself will use his own hands to serve and plate. He will collect plate and serve the women. After serving them, he will say, he will take his own. Chairman, go and collect food in one place. It was a thing I had never seen before. How will I go to tarnish such person's image? It was not his doing. It was the plan of somebody who wanted to. Of course, he told us one of the days that unless he told the governor there's money in the state, there would be no money in the state. I don't know what they're asking me. I signed it to run away from their life.
We said during the torturous waiting, because if you look through it when you digest it, we waited for almost 7 hours without discussing anything. Okay? We came in by 1, stayed till 8:15, 8:30. Nobody spoke with us. They were just moving up and down, talking in low tones. There was no meeting. It was during that period, before then, let me give you this background. Before then, we had been accused. It was a write-up. Our logo, the governor's photograph on a paper. I don't know the blogger who wrote that. And it was sent to us to comment, because that day they said government lied. 9 years arrears of payments, arrears of pension and gratuity, government lied. Then Mrs. Betty Obasi sent it to us to comment. We said we don't have anything to say because we are not, we didn't grant any interview to any person, let alone using a headed paper that our logo could be found anywhere. So when she said, okay, let me see that your headed paper, okay, when we were just waiting, then I had to send the driver, okay, to go back to the office to bring, and I asked, what are you doing with it? Say, let me see it. Okay, so it was within that 7 hours we were waiting that she collected, and we have nothing, we have never quarreled with them. Discussions have been so smooth every time we met. And that lady too has been so, did everything to appear as if she's helping us. If we raise issues, she will take it up. And I've been helping. So when she wanted to see that, because of the accusation, we said, okay, let her have a look at our headed paper. She picked it. That was how she got the headed paper. We didn't know they had a different plan altogether. And besides, the question you're asking, how can a government set up a committee and use, unions headed paper to write a report? What's the sense about it? What is the idea behind it? Does the union, is it the union that set up the committee or government? And wouldn't that committee have its own headed paper? It was just little tricks to rope us in that, we were in agreement, and they will write something which we are not aware of. That's the first question. What was the second one is, okay, good. Now, this is a union, and we have a legal advisor. We follow things the way. Remember, in that, what we read there, they said if there is a disagreement, it has to be settled first amicably before going to arbitration. We have asked, you write to government, you don't expect them to reply immediately. We have made, inroads, sent people who can talk to the government or to the governor to ask him to invite us. We wrote, we were allowing him. We weren't going to reply to all the things we were reading from the, all the social media. We're not going to reply. we had our plans thinking that good reason will prevail and the government will invite us so that this thing will be settled. Remember what we said, we never wanted to tarnish the image of government. We never want to do anything that will discredit this government because they are paying us. In fact, they are paying us every month. So you wouldn't want to spoil or to throw it away. So since they are paying us, it's okay. Let's give them time. We kept pleading until now it has become unbearable. That's why we're coming. We wouldn't have just come out to begin to shout. Then it means we have not given to what we have agreed, not to tarnish the image of government. But now we cannot continue. That's why we're doing this. Thank you.